You're listening to Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast. Comics, television, movies, and more. If it impacts fan culture, we have something to say about it. And now, your hosts, Jordan, Cliff, and Seth.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back. It's your pals at Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast. How exciting to have you with us. My name is Jordan Lowe.
I'm Cliff Barnes.
I'm Seth. Exciting.
Exciting. We're smack dab in the middle of the summer movie challenge. What could be more exciting?
Oh, that's true. Well, that pepped me up.
Save Martha! Puny God.
I'm just a kid from Brooklyn. I'm Batman.
Kneel before Zod! On the roof!
Said it yourself, bitch. We're the Guardians of the Galaxy.
So what's it gonna be, huh? Long sullen silence? Or mean comment? Go on.
You got me in a box here.
Yep, we're
Bet big on Lilo
four weekends
Stitch.
in. Yeah,
Why
four
not?
weekends in. Oh, yeah, I did. I tripled down on Lilo and Stitch. Now let's just stop at the contest right now.
Yeah, we hope you enjoyed that episode where we predicted what the big summer blockbusters will be, and now we're in the thick of it. Numbers are coming in. We have hard data. We have scoring going on. So the stakes just keep getting higher every week. A new movie's going to drop.
Yeah, that's how they work.
You don't need us to tell you that. That's how movies work. All right?
They just keep coming out, new ones every week.
Yep, I keep going.
So what have you seen lately? It's the summer. What movies are we watching?
Oh my gosh, well, it kicked off with Thunderbolts. We already talked about that, right?
I don't think so. Not
Yeah.
at any depth.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't think we went into detail with it.
Oh, okay. Well, it was good.
There you go.
Yeah, well, I'm sure anyone that wanted to hear a review of that already did. Yeah, and I've seen the Mission Impossible movie came out. Went and saw that in IMAX, and totally worth seeing in IMAX. That screen was freaking huge, and it was fine. It was I'm probably the biggest Mission Impossible fan, so I'm the audience for this, and I enjoyed myself, but it had some weak points. They basically deified him at this point. He is no one can save us but Ethan Hunt. Oh my God. And I don't know. It was a bit much. I was there. It was not just doing what they'd done before in Mission Impossible movies, but doing what happens in so many movies. Lines were just so obviously what they were going to say. They'd say something and I knew what the next line was going to be. I said out loud what the next line was, and then they said it on the screen, and the guy next to me looked over because it was packed. It was a packed house. I was they said he did it. And I said, that son of a bitch did it. And that guy looked at me because while they were saying it, and I was like, I swear I haven't seen this before. But I've seen a lot of movies. Anyway, I still enjoy it. I mean, it was, for the stunts, it was incredible to see in IMAX. The guy's a nut. It had its moments. Not one of my faves.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll see it at some point. I'm not in a huge rush to get out there. It feels to me a little like the modern James Bond movies, where I was a huge James Bond fan as a kid. I loved all those movies, but the modern ones, there's a continuity to them, and you got to pay attention and it moves.
No.
So now it's been 20 years of Mission Impossible movies, and I don't know who's who, and I can't remember what led to what. So I assume it. It was just a fun mission every movie. Dumb people like me could just watch it.
They definitely bent over backwards to try to tie some stuff together. I called it the final retconning, but they did manage to they had some surprise stuff that it was like, oh, this character from so far back is there, and gave them a good story, and that was satisfying. So there was, I was satisfied by that, but there were some laughable moments too. Like, come on, this is so hokey, or just you've seen something a million times. It's like almost a joke. You're like, But anyway, it's really freaking long. It's a long ass movie. It took a long time to get going, and but I didn't love Dead Reckoning, and we watched it a couple weeks ago to get ready, and I loved it. Loved it. I thought it was so much better the second time when I didn't have any expectations anymore. So maybe I'll feel a bit different about this someday. We also
speaking of
go
things
ahead,
you've seen a million times.
Yeah.
That movie just dropped. I still have Apple TV Plus for the next month. So that Fountain of Youth.
Oh yeah,
their
you and everyone else's review is why I will not watch this movie.
So this was, John Krasinski, like him well enough. Natalie Portman, like her quite a lot. Directed by Guy Ritchie. I've loved some of his movies. Some aren't quite as good. So I'm like, you know what? It could just be a fun adventure. That's what we need right now. And there were literally a dozen things I was flipping through the channel, like, oh, I could watch that or that. Oh, let's do this one. I made the wrong choice. It was the most generic movie I've ever seen. It was not bad by any stretch. It was perfectly watchable, but it was every beat of every Indiana Jones, National Treasure, Mission Impossible. Like, it's that. There's a car chase, and then a boat chase, and then a train, and then and exactly what's going to happen. You could probably say the line before he says it.
Yeah, we turned it off. It wasn't holding either of our attention, so we just turned it off. Didn't get halfway through it.
I haven't liked John Krasinski in anything except obviously The Office, but I liked Quiet Place 1. I thought he was good enough in that, but Jack Ryan and any of this other stuff, he does not have it. Whatever it is, he does not have it. He cannot do. He's not a leading man. I just wish they'd give it up.
He and Natalie Portman are brother and sister in this. I'm like, well, that's interesting. It's not a romantic pairing. Yeah. That's a different take on this, maybe. But like, he flirts with all the other women in the movie, and like, it's so awkwardly, he's bad at it. Like, someone's trying to kill him. He's like, well, maybe we should take this upstairs. It's like, oh, this is just bad. So
he's not that guy. He thinks he's that guy, and he's not.
Yeah, a suave person could maybe pull off this goofy. Yeah. So yeah, that's a big swing from Apple, and it was just not my recommendation.
What's charming about him that he was able to pull off in The Office was that he wasn't confident. Mm-hmm. He was, he had those issues, and like every time he does any of these leading man things, he's trying to be Mr. Confidence, and it does not work for him. So, and Guy Ritchie is just like not doing it for me anymore, so that didn't pull me in. So I was glad to hear I don't have to watch it. We did a double feature that night last week when we saw Mission Impossible. We stayed late because this movie is not coming out around here, apparently. That Tim Robinson movie with Paul Rudd called Friendship, which we've seen the preview for, and it was, I don't remember the last time I went in a theater and like, there aren't that many comedies anymore, and I don't necessarily gravitate to a theater comedy anyway, but I don't know. I had such a good time watching this because it's that weird humor anyway. And like, people were we were all in the like-minded about the humor. And like, I'm not even an over the top huge, I think you should leave fan. Like, I like certain skits, but some of it I think just goes on too long or whatever. And this was a super long, I think you should leave skit, but I was into it the whole time. Like, just it really had room to breathe and like go some crazy weird places, and I don't know, I had a good time. I thought it was really well done. It's good stuff. He is just really good at playing that guy.
That's the trailer definitely made it feel like, oh, that's one of those type of characters that he does.
Yeah.
He does over and over. On
Oh yeah, it's not anything new, but he does it so well, and just it really plays out well. I think ultimately the way it wraps up, and it's super weird. So I kind of wanted that, and it was. So it's less than 2 hours. It was like maybe not even an hour 45, I think. So it didn't feel too long. I dug it. So it was good. You watch anything, Cliff? Any movies?
Not much. Haven't been back to the theater since Thunderbolts. But speaking of comedies, we did watch Vince Vaughn's latest Netflix adventure called Nonnies or something like that.
Nonnas.
Nonnas. That's what it was. Yeah, we watched that the other night. It was sweet. It was good. Susan Sarandon, Linda Cardellini, they're all, super Italian.
I can't believe it didn't have Carla Gugino in it.
I know.
I was really thrown. I was like, where's Carla Gugino? She should have been here.
They really, I don't know if there was a scheduling conflict or what, but they really missed the boat on that one.
There had to have been like.
So
I watched it. I watched it just because you watched it.
Oh,
I was like, I want to watch. It's a comfort type movie. Like, it's one of those you turn on, you don't have to pay 100% attention to, but it's like, this is gonna. I know right away that I'm not expecting anything from this, so this is just gonna be like comforting.
Yeah.
It's food, and they're just.
It's not real fast.
It's not.
Paced.
They're not.
It's just kind of laid back, and
they're not gonna. There will be no casualties. Like, this is all gonna work out. It's gonna be great.
Right. So
yeah, it was perfectly harmless.
Yeah, I don't watch a lot of Netflix movies anymore.
I don't like a lot of them, but that had a vibe, but it was possibly they were gonna pull it off.
It had enough people I knew in it, and Vince Vaughn is always, okay in our household. So yeah, we enjoyed it. I thought it was sweet. It was funny, and the grandma's going back and forth. It was like, okay, but yeah, it was rather predictable, but good enough to.
It was. I thought when I watched it, this is good enough.
Yeah, definitely. So for sure. Carly went, and her went to see over the weekend to see Lilo and Stitch.
Good.
And that was a movie she was really excited to go see, and she come back a little disappointed. Like, she was.
It doesn't matter. I already got your money.
She was not loving it. I had seen right before she went, like the day before, I had seen some commentary on some folks reviewing it and things they didn't like about it and choices that were made, and I didn't say anything to her about it. I actually didn't even talk about it with her until she came back, and she kind of pointed out, had a problem with a lot of the same issues, differences between the original animated movie. And it's not that they made different choices. It sounds like maybe they didn't make the best choices to do some things differently and not have some characters in there and change other things. But yeah, I haven't seen it yet though, so I can't say much.
Cool. I also watched today. I watched Karate Kid Legends. Just came out. So
that one I've been very curious about, because like I said, I'm a huge Karate Kid fan, and Cobra Kai, it doesn't have to be great for me to enjoy it.
Right.
So I'm hoping it's just entertaining. So that's what I'm looking for.
The reviews were not they started popping up a couple days ago. And I was like, ooh, these people are not liking this. I was like, that's going to stop me from going to see it. But I was like, I don't know what they were expecting. I did not expect this to be the magical thing, thing that everyone must have wanted it to be. Like I kind of, kind of knew what I was getting, and I thought there were some pleasant surprises. I enjoyed myself. It was nothing spectacular. It was kind of a Karate Kid remake, and the new. It's nice, kind of nice to have an actual Asian kid doing being the Karate Kid, and
Who seems really good at karate.
yeah, he's pretty good.
Yeah,
Kung Fu is I think his specialty, but it had some. I like the girl in there. Saw her in the trailer. She was one of the girlfriends on Goldberg's. She was one of the main characters' girlfriends, and she's grown up now or whatever. But she's pretty good. It had Joshua Jackson Pacey from Dawson's Creek. He was good in it. Like, nobody had huge parts. Even there's not as much Daniel San as you might expect.
Yeah, that was my I don't like Daniel San, but I really did not like that Karate Kid movie remake they did a few years ago with Mr. Han and Will Smith's kid or whatever. I did not like that movie at all. It didn't. Well,
you probably won't like
sense.
this then. This is. I mean, it's got that vibe, and he's Jackie Chan's there.
Yeah.
Daniel LaRusso's there, but there's not a ton of them. Like, they really let it breathe for a while. They set up the traditional Karate Kid story, and I was enjoying it. I didn't really like the villain that much, but there's not a ton of the villain either. Like, it's you get a lot of the main kid, and he's pretty good, Joshua Jackson, and it's not. You're not gonna be blown away, but I think you'll have a fine time. I think it's really edited poorly. Like, there's so many cuts during fights that it gives you whiplash, and that was kind of disorienting. They use these graphics in it, throughout the movie in just random ways that I don't know, and it doesn't have that Karate Kid magic. It's no Karate Kid 1 or 2, but it's perfectly fine. It's perfectly fine. Worth seeing. Why not? Cost me nothing. So
it'll cost you a point if it gets into the top 10.
Right. And then
I don't think it's going to get in the top 10. I'm not worried about that. Let's just say that. I'm not. I think I chose wisely on that.
Yeah.
Keep her
don't
out of the
oversell too much.
Yeah. So that's probably it. Movies. I don't think I watched any other movies.
All right. I got a little bit of comic book news we can get to.
How can you read this? There's no pictures.
Well, some people use their imagination.
Well, I must hurry back to my comic book store where I dispense the insults rather than absorb them.
Happens all the time. Read a comic book, okay?
Free comic book day recently. That was a pretty good success all around the world. We had a rainy day here in Marietta. It was just sort of not raining hard, but enough to be inconvenient. So our numbers were down a little bit, but not terribly. And then at the end of the day, I checked the sales, and I made exactly $5 more than I did last year. So I'm above last year's number, so I was happy.
Awesome.
So that's a good time. We got a year to go for the next one. If there is a next one, we'll see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they moved the movies.
Yeah.
So now we're back to not having.
It was going to be Avengers that weekend, right?
Yeah, but 2 years in a row or whatever. We were booked the next 2 years, and now they moved them to December. Not that I expect them to stay there either. They'll probably move to the next spring. They'll just have a whole next year for the Free Comic Book Day movie. I don't know.
Man, we had a big announcement this week. Marvel and DC are crossing over. It's kind of a surprise announcement. It's been more than 20 years since the last one. JLA Avengers by Busick and Perez was 2003 to 2004. So that's the last time we had a Marvel DC crossover, which used to be, it wasn't a constant thing, but it was fairly regularly. They'd do something fun. Now it's corporate entities have taken over, and it's not as easy to just get that done. And then 2020 happened and the pandemic, and people were worried about the industry and, how do we support comic shops? And one of the first and biggest things was, hey, do a crossover. People love that. That would help. And it just still never materialized. It's taken all these years. They put out the 2 omnibuses that collects the old stuff. So they collected all the original crossovers in one omnibus, and then all the amalgam where they mixed and matched all the DC Marvel stuff in another. So people thought, okay, if they can get together to reprint old stuff, maybe they can do some new stuff. And finally, we got the announcement. Not the first thing that would spring to my mind if you ask what should cross over, but it's Batman and Deadpool are getting a crossover. 2 issues. So the first one's going to be September and called Deadpool Batman by Zeb Wells and Greg Capullo. Then in October, we'll get Batman Deadpool by Grant Morrison and Dan Mora. So again, not the first creators that would jump to my mind either, but I get, that works. That's how Deadpool's good with Wolverine, the angry, stoic guy who won't put up with his nonsense. So Batman's a perfect foil to bounce Deadpool off of. So it's going to be huge. It's going to sell really well.
Yeah, people are excited about it.
Yeah. Whether it works or not, like Lilo and Stitch, people are gonna see it. And hopefully that leads to more. Because people do so love a cross-story. Alright, then the final news I've got for comics is more about Diamond. If you've been with us for any length of time, you've heard me talk about Diamond and the bankruptcy and all that news. Well, last time I did a very deep dive explaining all this stuff going on with the bankruptcy and the courts and the legal stuff. And it wasn't a couple of days after that episode came out that all that isn't true anymore.
Yeah.
It's gone. It's all got thrown into a cocked hat. So I'll try to catch you up on what happened. Again, I get a lot of my info, comicsbeat.com and Heidi McDonald. So a lot of this is from her hat tip from Comics Beat. So this was announced at the end of March. Alliance Entertainment won the bankruptcy auction. So this was a big pop culture distributor who does toys and games and collectibles. They paid the most money and won Diamond's assets. All right. So before the court could certify the sale, Diamond announced they're going to approve the second place bid, which was a joint bid from a place called Universal and Ad Populum. These 2 different companies went together, made a bid together. They were second place, and Diamond said, yeah, we're going to do that. So that caused all kind of problems. So then at the beginning of April, finally, the court approved the original bid of $85 million, and it was settled. Okay, the people who bid the most won the auction. It's all good. And then about 20 days later, the winning bidders alliance pulled out of the deal.
Yeah.
So they had to go to court to affirm that they won the auction. And then a week or 2 later said, no, we don't need the auction. We don't want to win this. So people were like, what is going on? What happened? And there was a lot of, is it about the economy? Is it about all these tariffs? Spending $85 million on a toy company might not be a great idea right now. All this stuff's made in China. If there's a trade war, the prices skyrocket. People were assuming maybe that was it. That it was no longer a sound financial investment. But then Alliance filed a complaint alleging fraud and deception on Diamond's part. So apparently, Wizards of the Coast, the company that publishes Magic the Gathering, a very popular card game, they had terminated their contract with Diamond. So one of Diamond's subsidiaries is the game company, also called Alliance, which is confusing, so stick with it. So Wizards of the Coast was not going to sell Magic to the game distributor that Diamond owned as of December 31st. They said they extended the contract a few months to help get through the bankruptcy and to not rock the boat or anything. but that termination was kept out of the contract. They they redacted it for all the information they gave to Alliance, who I'm sure their accountants and things were going over all the financials. They didn't have that information that they were about to lose their biggest game. So Wizards of the Coast makes up 25% of the revenue of that game distributor, and they were going to lose that, and the people buying them didn't know that. So I'm not a lawyer again. I'll make that stipulation, but that's bad.
Yeah, that's bad.
So Alliance put out a press release claiming that Diamond feigned outrage, calling the termination shocking and coming out of nowhere and a slap in the face. We've been in a 25-year relationship with these people. We can't believe. But then they're saying, like, it came out later in this video conference that Wizards of the Coast admitted when they made the thing and when Diamond knew what did you know and when did you know it, that kind of thing, that they knew and redacted it. They were aware of the decision in December of 2024, had declined. Wizards of the Coast had declined by more than 8%. The sales had declined over 8%, and so that's why they were leaving. While the 4 other distributors they used significantly increased their sales. So yeah, it was just saying, we everybody knew it on one side of the ledger, but people buying didn't know. So even after all this, Alliance says, well, we tried to renegotiate, even knowing this now, and maybe do a smaller bid, but Diamond didn't respond to it. So then eventually it just all fell apart, and then at the end of April, a Maryland bankruptcy court approved the sale to Universal and AppleTV. So through the end of March, the lawyers' fees were already over $4.5 million. So all this nonsense, that there's a whole bunch of creditors out there who are owed money, and it's all going to lawyers. It's not going to all these companies and publishers that Diamond owes money to. It's going to lawyers to figure all this nonsense out when it should have been over a long time ago. So I'm sure that is making people crazy. So once again, the winning bid was Universal, who has been distributing to hobby stores in Canada for over 30 years. They acquire the assets of the game distributors. And then AppleTV, which owns a whole bunch of pop culture brands, NECA, Kid Robot, WizKids, Chia Pet, Ruby's, the costume place, and Graceland and the Elvis estate. They acquired Diamond Comic Distributors, Diamond Book Distributors, Diamond Select Toys, the Collectible Grading Authority, and, quote, other related assets. So the distributor gets the games, and the pop culture place gets all the distribution, which is a little bit confusing. So I don't know why the distribution didn't go to the distributor. And they're saying it's unlikely AppleTV has any interest in comics distribution. So basically, Diamond is out of the comic business. So Universal already had plans in place with some major publishers to become the 3rd major direct comics distributor in the United States, and has already tried to hire some Diamond personnel to kind of bridge the gap and whatever. So there's an online comment that kind of summed it up. It said, so with 2 companies, one bought the comic distributor to shut it down, and the other didn't buy the distributor to start one up. I will never understand the business world. So yeah, it made no sense. They're just basically stripping it for parts. They fired pretty much everybody, including everybody at Diamond Select Toys.
Yeah.
Which people, again, were thinking that's an asset. If you own WizKids and NECA, add Diamond Select. That's another jewel to put in your crown. Well, apparently they're just getting rid of it.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make any sense. They thought maybe they'll be able to get their licenses and then incorporate it into their other brands they already own or something. But so, yeah, a toy distributor bought a toy company and then immediately just shut it down. I don't understand. So yeah, basically Diamond Comics is done. Diamond Select Toys is done. It's all gone. Yeah, and then all the tech people were let go. So all the people who were running the Comic Suite point of sale software and the pull box pre-order stuff, there's no more tech people running any of that. So someone online was like, yeah, if you use those, you may want to back up your data because we don't know how long that stuff's going to last. So that's all just going to disappear at some point. So yeah, just the minute the sale was finalized is when all these new dominoes started to fall. I said that they laid off a ton of people. Penguin, which is where Marvel and some other big ones are going through, we're using Diamond as a wholesaler. So if you just wanted to stick with Diamond, you could still order Marvel through them. The minute this happened, Penguin ended the deal, so Diamond can no longer be a sub-distributor. And the lovely thing is there's been like no communication. I said this is like the end of April 30th. This was official. And I've not heard one thing from Diamond or their new owners to the comic community of like, hey, we're working the kinks out, or literally nothing. I still get emails every day from Diamond like, order this statue, order this book, and it's like, do you even have do you have a truck to send it to me? Like, what is going on? And they don't tell us literally anything. So I've moved every single book I can to the other distributors. I finished my monthly order yesterday, and it was like the whole previous catalog, all like 500 pages. I think my order was like $200, which it has never been. And that's basically just Dynamite. That's basically all I ordered. It was because Dynamite's the last one standing that doesn't have another deal yet. So I thinking back to those early, it took me a week to do the previews order, going through line by line, spending thousands of dollars a month, getting all this stuff. And now it's just I'm literally just sweeping up the dust from the floor because it's pretty much over. The bell has tolled for Diamond.
Man, that is crazy. Yeah, I saw that about them shutting down the toys, and I was just like, what? This is Diamond Select toys are huge.
Yeah, they had tons of licensed pop culture wise. Yeah. Not just comics, but they did a bunch of movie toys and TV. They did Game of Thrones and Muppets and a million different things. Yeah. And that's the kind of stuff I usually ordered because it was comic shop specific. It was like Star Wars Black figures or Marvel Legends. You can get those everywhere. So I tried to focus on things, that, put out by Diamond. It's like, oh, no, those don't exist anymore. So I'm going to have to figure something else out if I want to keep doing the non-comic collectibles.
Yeah, for sure. You'll become a distributor or a wholesaler.
Why not? Floor is wide open for that.
Oh, shoot. All right. Anything else been going on? I mean, I don't know, besides rain and baseball, I guess.
Yep. Wrapping up spring ball.
Yeah.
So I'm ready. As soon as it's over, I got a week vacation lined up here in a couple weeks. Like I told you guys, I'm picking up a brand spanking new motorcycle tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm ready to live it up. So watch out. Watch the paper for my name.
Are you gonna jump some trash cans?
I'm jumping. I'm jumping the Mudskingum River.
Evil Poobah Nemo. All right, so that does it, I believe, for this episode. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here with us once again. My name is Jordan Wood.
Cliff Barnes.
I'm Seth. Bye forever.
Thought you were going to say thank you for being a friend. Ka-Pow, the Pop Cultured Podcast, is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. Sounds, music, and clips played during the podcast are property of copyright holders. All original content is property of Ka-Pow, the Pop Cultured Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and leave a comment. KPP can be found on Apple Podcasts, Podbean, YouTube Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever podcasts can be found. You can connect with us through social media on Facebook, YouTube, or email Ka-Pow, the Pop Culture Podcast at gmail.com. Join our Patreon page to help support the show at patreon.com/udownwithkpp for special content and early access to episodes. We are grateful to anyone who chooses to contribute. Most of our content will remain free, so please click the thumbs up, like, share, and ask your friends. You down with KPP?